Marsden. So welcome everybody to this webinar, How to Automate Your Business Using ACT. My name is Elene Marsden and I love using ACT. I use it for my business and I can't imagine life without it. So today I'm going to be talking to you about probably the most important thing that you can do with any database. I mean, my database currently is made up of, in fact, over 3,000 contacts, and it's important for me to be able to segment those contacts into groups so that when I send out marketing messages, I'm not just sending it to everyone, but I'm actually, in fact, sending it to targeted groups of my contacts. And there are many, many ways you can segment your database. Everybody has this field called the ID status field that comes with ACT, and normally in that drop down you have various categories, things like customers and prospects, and that's one way of splitting up your database so that you can send messages just to your prospects or indeed to your actual contacts. So another way is to use the field that's called referred by. I use that regularly. I want to know where my contact comes from, where the business comes from, whether it's from my website or from networking. And then another field that I use I find very helpful. This is one I've added to my own database. It doesn't come, it's not a regular ACT field, and it's called Where First Met. I find that quite helpful because once you start to grow your database, if you put in where you met that person in the first place, that can often jog your memory so that you can really develop and continue on with those relationships. But what I've done is over on the right hand side of my screen, I've got some other options here. For me, because I sell ACT and Microsoft training, I want to know in more detail, what particular version of ACT my customers have. So if I wanted to then look at all the people who've got an older version, and I've got some offers coming up to upgrade to the latest version, I can pull out all those contacts and send them those messages. Now, in fact, there's lots of other ways of segmenting. You can segment on products, and we could spend probably 2 hours talking about different ways to segment. But the main thing is, once you've chosen a way of splitting up your database, you then need to think about putting them into groups, into ACT groups. And over here, over on the left-hand side, we can see where the groups are. And I've got a number of different groups. In fact, today I've created a group, as you can see, webinar contacts, my June group. And there's a list of all the people who've signed up today. And if I wanted to see all of those contacts in list view, this is a quick, neat way of doing it. You can see this magnifying glass on that toolbar. Just click that, and then there's a list of all of those 8 contacts showing in list view in ACT. Now, this particular way of putting people into groups was a manual way. I literally created the group and then I just added people individually to that group. Static groups, they're called. And that's not a particularly smart way of working with ACT. I mean, it works fine. If you click the Add Remove buttons, and you can see the contacts button there, I just literally selected people from my database on the left and pulled them over into the group on the right. But the smarter way of working with groups is to set up rules and create dynamic groups. And this is really clever because these groups are populated with contacts automatically without you having to think and remember to put people into groups. And in fact, over on the left, you can see one of the groups that you get when you have the newer version of ACT. If you've got a very old version of ACT, you probably haven't got this group. But for ACT 2010 and 2011, you've got this group here, recently added contacts. And when I click that group, you can see those are all the people that have been added to my database within the last 2 days. And a rule has been set up to add them to that group. So when I click Add Remove Contacts, you can see in the lower half of this window, there's a dynamic rule in place that is based on the create date. So if I click this Edit Criteria box, you can see that any time someone is added to the database within the last 2 days, they automatically drop into that group. So this is the smartest way of working with groups, using dynamic rules. All right. So I'm just going to click OK. Just checking that I've muted everybody because I can hear a bit of background. All right, so that's working with dynamic groups, and you get certain groups already given to you by ACT. Now, one of the ones that I've created myself is, let me just take a look. I've got all sorts of different groups. And I'm going to show you my new ACT customers group. That's the one. So here I've called the group New ACT Customers, and it could be replace ACT with the product that you sell. Add Remove Contacts, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to set up a dynamic rule. You click Edit Criteria. You come over here and choose the field that you want to work with. I'm going to choose ID status, and that's going to be contains, and the field value I'm looking for is New ACT Customer. Add that to the list. And it's as simple as that. Now that rule is in place now, and every time I add new customers to my database, and in the ID status field I say they're a new ACT customer, they'll automatically drop into this group. And when you use dynamic groups like this, you can then set up a whole series of automatic emails to go out to these customers. So let me just pop into PowerPoint a moment to show you something. So I'm going to come into PowerPoint, and there you can see a typical, if you like, drip marketing campaign. So let's say somebody buys something from you, you add them to your ACT database, you fill out that field that says they're a new customer, and then it immediately launches a campaign, an email marketing campaign. So this example is saying over a 4-week period, make sure that they receive 1 email a week, just introducing them to the company, introducing them perhaps to your support staff, telling them about other products that you sell, maybe giving them some hints and tips. Possibly another message might be, can you recommend us to your friends? And at the end of that campaign, you know, they may want to go into another drip marketing campaign. So the whole basis of this starts with your dynamic groups. Now I'm going to come out of that and come straight back into ACT now. Just one moment, let me just close this, minimize that. So we're back in ACT now. And I'm going to start to talk a little bit about Swift Page or ACT e-marketing, because this is such a fabulous tool that works with ACT so well. Let me just take a look. Let me just open up Andrew's record. I'm sure you won't mind me using you as an example there, Andrew. Now, in the lower half of any contacts record, if you click the Marketing Results tab, and if you're actually using Swift Page e-marketing, when you send out a message to your contacts, you always will be able to bring back the results from that campaign and see who's opened and who's clicked on any links in your messages. So here in the lower half of Andrew's window, I can see that one of my messages, this one here, ever wondered how to embed videos into emails? In fact, he opened that once. So this is really useful, and sometimes this is a quick tip for you. You don't necessarily need to write complicated emails to send out to groups of your contacts. You might just create a very simple message and send that out to your contacts if you want to make sure they've read it. So it could be just going out to one person. In fact, let me use this example with Andrew. I'm going to come up to the ACT e-marketing button and click that, and I'm going to find the template that is one I've created. It's a very simple template. All it is, it's a single column with no fancy frills or anything, no logos, nothing, and I've called it Quick Trackable Message. Click OK. And I'm just going to put the subject in here as just test send. It's really difficult to type, think, talk at the same time, so I just put that test send. But in here, in this personal message, I could just type something like, just checking to see if you open this message. And now I'm going to send it to this one single contact, and I'm going to send it now. So that's a really quick way, using that personal message box, to send a quick message out to somebody if you want to make sure they've opened it, or you want to check to see if they've opened it. So I really like using that personal message box. If I'm going to send just a quick message out to somebody, you can put hyperlinks in that personal message box as well, which are also trackable. So that was a quick tip, sending just one quick email out. But obviously for many people, they want their systems automated. They want a whole string of messages going out one after the other. And for that, I use drip marketing. So let me show you my drip marketing campaign for my new customers. I'm going to come up back to the Swift page e-marketing icon. This time I'm going to come over to the drip marketing tab at the top. And there's all my campaigns that I've got. The one I'll show you at the moment is my new ACT customer campaign. Let's click View Campaign so you can see what that looks like. And it's made up of 8 emails. So I'm just waiting for that to come up on the screen. Might take a little bit of time because I need to connect to Swift page. But it's a series of 8 messages. And in fact, it's still connecting. Those 8 messages, like I showed you on that PowerPoint presentation, thanks very much for your order. You know, we'd really like to help you. What do you think of the product? Lots of different messages, and they just go out at set intervals. I'm just going to pull this onto the screen now so that you can see it. I'm using split screen, so it makes it pretty tricky manipulating from one screen to another. But there you are. There are the messages that I have set up in my drip marketing campaign, all 8 of them. And all I need to do is literally add somebody to that campaign using dynamic groups, and away we go. Simple as that. Now I could open up and show you all of the messages, but we're a bit short of time for that, so I'm just going to close out of that and come back into ACT. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions later. So that's a little touch on Swift page ACT e-marketing, sending out individual messages, sending out a sequence of messages. I'm now going to talk to you about how you can bring contacts into your ACT database quite easily, because we don't want to be typing all the information out, and there are a couple of clever things that you can do here. So I'm going to go into Outlook now and show you in Outlook. If you've got Outlook configured to work with ACT, you're going to be able to attach email messages as they come in to contacts in ACT, but you can also create a new contact from a message coming in from somebody. So this lady here, Claire, let's open up her message. So open up that message. I'm going to pull this onto the screen so that you can see it. Because I'm using Outlook 2010, it's on the add-ins tab. It might be, if you're using an earlier version of Outlook 2003, for example, these icons will be appearing in the toolbar. But look, you can see you can attach the message to ACT, or the thing I wanted to show you is you can create a new ACT contact. And what it will do, because obviously this time there's lots of people in this email, so it's wondering which person we need to create a contact. So it is Claire, so I'll bring her over onto the right, click OK. And what it will do is it will pull out her name and her email address. And then you can actually send that contact to ACT. So this is taking a little bit of time. It's probably, I've got so much going on, what with my GoToMeeting and my recording of the screen. But there we are. There you can see that if I click the OK button, what will happen now is that contact will be transferred to ACT. Okay. But there's something even smarter than that, because that feature only pulls out their contact name and their email address. And what I like to do is I like to use something called contact capture from Broad Look. And this is a really clever piece of software that's free. I'll be showing you how you can get access to this in a little while, but basically all you'd need to do is you would go into the contacts, let's just take a look, not that one, you'd go into the contacts email, or you could go onto the contacts website, highlight the address, the business, as much as you can. So I'm going to highlight it from Outlook, but it could equally be something that I've found on her website. Because I've already installed the software, the keyboard shortcut is Control and then C twice. So Control C twice, the letter C on the keyboard, and there you can see Contact Capture has in fact pulled out not just her name, her company, her address, her mobile phone number, everything. And all I'm going to do now is export this to my database. And this tool is probably the thing I find most useful. I've been using it now for about 8 months, and I would really recommend it. So it may take a little bit of time here because, as I say, I've got a lot of applications running, but it just takes you through the wizard. It's about 4 or 5 steps, but I don't need to change any of the steps. I just click next each time and finish. And then that lady is now in my database. And this is a really, really quick shortcut, if you like. Contact Capture is available from a company called Broad Look. And I'm just going to put this on the screen in a moment so that you can see it. I'm just waiting for this to complete. You can probably see in the bottom right hand corner of my screen it says export complete, one contact, one company exported to ACT. And I guess I should really show you that she's in there, shouldn't I? So that you can see how it works. So I'm going to come out of Outlook now, come back into ACT. And if you've never used this technique for looking up contacts, I'd always recommend it. You can come over to the left-hand side and you can type in that contains box for what you're looking for. But any single field in your ACT database, all you need to do is right-click over it. And that's the shortcut to look up contact. So I've looked up contact and I'm looking for Claire. I hope I've spelt this correct. Can't remember if it had an I in it. Click OK. And I think I've got quite a number of Claires in my database. And let's just take a look. My goodness, she's not in there. That's probably because I spelt it incorrectly. Let's go and do that again. And we're coming up to 2 minutes before I need to finish this webinar because YouTube only takes 20-minute long videos. So I'm going to quickly see if I can do that with CLARE. Click OK. Hopefully we'll end on a positive. Let's just take a look. 1 minute. And in fact, there she is.